Hey, what's up, guys? So today I kind of wanted to bring you a different style video. Today we got Full Tilt Boogie Racing's 2015 Mustang GT, and it's got a lot of modifications to it that kind of bring it up to that GT350 level of performance, obviously minus the engine and trans and some other things. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys that you can buy a base model Mustang and really improve the performance a lot for not a whole lot of money. So I got Bruce here today, and we're just going to kind of talk about all the mods that are done to this car. I have driven this car, and this car is incredible. So we'll let Bruce kind of talk you guys through kind of all the mods.
Hi guys, we bought this car originally as a R&D vehicle for the Full Tilt Boogie Racing business, and it's pretty much just a base Mustang GT with two options. We took the differential option and the Recaro seat option. So there's no sunroof or cooled seats or fancy stereo or anything like that, because we really didn't need or want any of that stuff. We didn't want the extra weight of a sunroof or glass roof or anything like that. So we just went with the base model and started developing parts. And the first thing we did, the car had about 60 miles on it. We pulled the complete IRS assembly out of it and drew up blueprints for bushings, for all of the articulating components, upper control arms, lower control arms, vertical links, toe links, and subframe bushings and diff mount bushing inserts. And one thing we found was the only item that adds any NVH to the IRS were the diff mount insert bushings, which really are only necessary for people that want to drag race or do hard launches. If you're just a street driver or even a road course track guy, you really don't need those diff mount inserts. So you're not going to have to put up with any additional NVH. It'll pretty much be exactly like it was from the factory.
Real quick, I'll play for you guys. Now, these cars suffer from just atrocious wheel hop from the factory. There's so much play in those bushings, so I'm going to overlay some clips of how bad the wheel hop is on this car, and then I'll show you guys after how the wheel hop is completely gone now. So.
So when we first got the car, it had like 65 miles. We pulled the complete IRS out of it, and we went through, replaced all of the factory rubber with either spherical bearings, mostly spherical bearings, and some Delrin inserts for the differential mounts, and UHMW. We used that again like we used on the SN95 IRS for the subframe bushings. And it completely transformed the IRS. The IRS was actually holding the car back on the track, kind of almost like an imaginary passenger was pulling up on the emergency brake as you're going through the turns, because the rear suspension was so inefficient it could not keep up with the front suspension. After taking out all the rubber and all the control arm deflection, that rear end now holds its alignment and can go right through the corner, keeps up with the front suspension, no problem. And this car, until these tires get warmed up, will pace right along GT350s on the track mainly because of the handling of the IRS and the brakes. It's a little short on power. I think that's like 95 horsepower actually this car is down, but it's remarkable how it keeps pace with GT350s. These are just Pirelli P0 street tires, and after about 4 laps on the track they get a little warm and greasy, and then those Pilot Sport Cup 2s that come on the GT350s, there's just no comparison. And under the hood, the first thing we saw that we wanted to kind of try to correct was that unsightly coolant recovery tank. So we made a little black plastic cover to cover that original OEM tank, so it kind of matches the rest of the black in the engine compartment. Some people even want to maybe paint them to get the look exactly the same and the sheen is exactly the same, but for us it just serves its purpose. And that's really about the only mod we did under the hood. We did put front brake ducts, cooling ducts, and we took out the fog lights, and you can see that we got our cooling hoses routed through there, and we have a spindle duct on the back side of the spindle to cool the brakes. As you can see, these brakes have been through several track days, lots of R&D. So those front rotors are they're getting to the point where we're going to think about replacing them one of these days. This is the Shelby GT350 front brake package that we offer. It's going to require you a caliper mounting bracket that we make, that is included in the kit, to mount the caliper to your GT spindle, because the GT spindle and the GT350 spindle are different. It's going to require the 6GR 19-inch wheels that we have on here, and that is a 6-piston Brembo caliper with a 15.5-inch diameter rotor. Those come right from Ford, and they're same ones that come on the Shelby GT350Rs. The regular Shelby GT350 has the black calipers. On the rear, we have the 4-piston Brembo caliper with a 15-inch rotor. And this rear setup requires the change of the knuckle for the brakes to fit, along with the internal drum emergency brake. And it also requires the change of the brake cables, emergency brake cables as well. So all those parts are included in the kit, and they can be found on our website. We sell the kits front only, rear only, or the 4-wheel kit complete. And if you want to buy wheels with them, we package that together and ship that to you with no freight charge if you buy the combination wheel and brake package kit. The OEM shifter on this car wasn't too bad when we were on track, when we didn't have to go into 5th gear. So shifting from 3rd to 4th and 2nd and all that, there was no problems. Once we got to Road America, we started using 5th gear, and we had difficulty going from 4th to 5th and from 5th back to 4th. So we took a look at the shift linkage, because we were going to originally replace the shifter, but then we saw how sloppily the OEM shifter was mounted, and we figured if we maybe supported the shifter better, it would shift better. So we made a metal formed bracket to mount the shifter to the trans and support it, and it completely transformed the shifting. It was just like replacing the shifter. The OEM shifter really is not that bad. It's just with the OEM mounting of the shifter made it seem horrible. So once we had that support bracket made and put on the car, going between fifth and fourth was, and back and downshifting from fifth back into fourth and upshifting from fourth to fifth, became completely smooth operation, just like shifting from third and fourth. So we started marketing those, and we've had a lot of people that have been very happy with that. It does transmit just a tiny bit of NVH into the shift handle. So if you're holding the shift handle at very high RPMs, you're just going to feel a little vibration, but it's not a big deal. It's not like you hear anything.
Right. Which I like. You kind of feel more connected with the car. You know, that's what I like.
Yeah, it's you know, like I said, the shifter is not as bad as it seems because it's mounted so poorly, right. And they mounted it poorly to absorb NVH.
You also got some different pedals down here too.
Yeah, we put some. I think those were Steeda pedals, yep. And we kind of cheated the gas pedal a little bit over to the left, and then the brake pedal we cheated a little bit over to the right, so we could get some nice heel-toe action. And the height of these pedals is the best height that have ever come on a Mustang for heel and toe. It's like almost perfect. So somebody did their homework at Ford finally, and it took them 50 years to figure out how to place the pedals for excellent heel and toe shifting at the track.
Yeah, and even because I drove this car for a couple days, and if you guys like heel towing on the street just for fun, super easy. I mean, you get in this car and you can do it right, especially with these pedals. It makes it super simple, so very fun. And then the rest of the interior is pretty much stock.
Yeah, we put a little diff cooler gauge in there so we can monitor the diff temperature as we R&D'd our diff cooler kit. And we experience there's an adjustment on the diff cooler, on the controller. You can have it come on, I think, somewhere between 180 and 210 degrees. So we have adjusted in the middle, so it comes on around 190. And when it comes on, the temperature will only creep up to about 215 or 220. And that's pretty much where it stays. It might go up a little bit higher to 230, but that's kind of pretty much normal operating temperature for a diff and a trans. You don't want the oil too cold, and you don't want it to get more in the 260 range, because that's when you start doing damage to seals when you get up into the 260s and 270s.
And these are the factory Recaros. If you guys never sat in these seats, I would say this is definitely one option you definitely want to get. These seats are super comfy, and they hold you in really nice at the track too.
Okay, this is our S550 rear diff cooler, and as you can see, everything is mounted outside. The lines come pre-cut, and fittings are installed on it. So all you have to do is mount this heat exchanger to the floor of the trunk, and you mount your pump over here on the side of the spare well compartment. You can see there the bottom fitting is the controller for the diff cooler, which is mounted inside of the trunk, and the controller has a 180 degree adjustment screw on it, and I believe it's somewhere between 180 and 220 is the range where the cooler turns on. So if you're experiencing your diff temps being hot, you can just turn that thing down so it comes on sooner, and then it won't heat soak on you. The next sensor up is the sensor that we have on our gauge inside the car by the glove box. Now that one, some cars that come from Ford that have the diff sensor in it, we tap that out for 10 millimeter, and then your factory OEM sensor would go into that location. So your suction for the diff cooler is on the bottom, which is technically the drain on the cover, and then the return line is just above it there, and the fill hole, I believe, is just above that too. So you have a separate fill hole, and that's pretty much it for the diff cooler. The 15 or the 18 performance pack cars, they call them performance packs, but you can only drive like one lap on the track with them before they shut the pull timing out of the engine and shut you down. So you're going to have, one of these diff coolers if you're going to run a 15 on the track. And even some of the earlier Shelby GT350s, the 15s and 16s, did not have the diff coolers in them, and we put one in a 16 GT350 for one of our customers, and also changed his transmission and put the Ford Racing trans cooler in it as well. Yeah, as I stated earlier, this was just a base GT, and when we took it to the track for the first time, it was kind of like a whale out of water. So we decided to upgrade it with a performance pack, shocks, struts, and springs, and that stiffened the ride up quite a bit on the street, but it made the car much more track friendly and completely transformed the handling. We also put on the adjustable iBox sway bars, and so we'd have some adjustability and fine tuning for the handling. And I can't remember the exact positions we have them. I think we went full stiff on the rear, and then the fronts are neutral. So the rear was wasn't quite where we wanted it, so by stiffening it up, it put the handling right where we needed it. And so that's what's nice about these three-way adjustables. You have them on the front and the rear, and then you have three positions. The further you go out to the end of the sway bar, the softer it is, and the closer you come in to the mounting chassis mount position, that makes it stiffer. So that put us right where we needed to be.
Then the last thing is the catback. It's an SSS catback, and I'll give you guys some more details on the screen now, but we'll give you guys a listen to hear what it sounds like. Got a nice tone to it. Not too loud, but definitely a lot better than stock. Stock was super quiet. Alrighty guys, so that's just the overview on the full Tilt Boogie Racing 15 Mustang. Modded up to pretty crazy performance level, considering what this car is. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Definitely consider subscribing. That helps me out a lot, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.